Hi friends, this is Mangalaprathaban Muralidharan talking from India. Today, I'm just going to talk to you about how to accelerate second language acquisition and learning. Friends, it's certainly very tough today to avoid people, especially the learners, to have complete focus because they're not really uh, totally focused most of the time. But there are a microscopic minority who could possibly, listen to anything and absorb things on their own and or could possibly analyze and try doing the best. But that is not the case on all occasions. We should understand that there are a large segment of, these second language learners who find themselves in a quagmire. They're not able to, restructure their ways of learning or redesign their ways of comprehension. Why does this happen? It happens primarily for two reasons. One, they get quite often distracted by their social media uses. Number two, they don't have access to materials or training. So I would always say there could be a reflective thinking which must be part of any pedagogic strategy that we employ in the second language classroom. And we have to organize our handouts and learning materials and teaching materials in order. And there must be something called a follow-up activity or a supplementary activity. There could be, a support system used, in several classes, especially in some of my sessions where I do have LMS support to verify the progress of learning and also to provide adequate amount of practice. Only when you provide adequate amount of practice for a particular learner, there is a possibility for the learner to internalize whatever he or she has learned. So the ability to connect with the reality by just mastering a specific learning input is extremely useful and valid for them. And it happens only if there is a guidance. And if you don't provide a proper guidance, then there is no possibility of accomplishing the best out of the scenario. So I'd always say a scenario-based learning could be the finest tool that a teacher can make use of in this context. And when you want to accelerate learning, the learning inputs could be very interesting for the learner. So we'll have to study the profile of the learner, look at the interests of the learner, look at the learning goals of the learner, and identify the specific learning needs and the learner's immediate environment. Accordingly, we need to redesign the entire learning teaching materials. Also, the system of presentation, etc. Only then it is going to be highly interesting for the learners and the teacher to do the best. So I would say the confluence of teaching and learning can happen only when there is a continuous upgradation in terms of understanding the progress of learning. And it is also quite not so easy for the learners to thrive on learning without the support. So support, in a way is very essential. So you need to organize the learning systems in tandem. You have to make sure the learning materials are in order. You also understand how far it's going to be effective if we are going to introduce new concepts. So it should be a step-by-step process, a process which could be absolutely modeled on easy to difficult. That means first give you the easiest things to learners, and a slightly tougher things, and then the tough areas, and tougher areas, and the toughest areas. So I would say progress. The progress in learning is possible only when we are absolutely aware of the learner's interests and learner difficulties, I always say learner difficulties are to be understood. And there must be a compendium of comprehensible learning solutions provided to the learners. Otherwise, learners will possibly fail to do the best. So friends, please understand, every learner has a unique personality, has a specific learning style, or I would even say they have a strategic learning views. So they have their own strategic learning views, and they are accustomed to specific patterns of learning. And we are expected to decode that. And we are expected to support them, streamline the entire process, enhance the very conceptual underpinnings of, the repertoire of the language, right? So we'll have to really make sure that they learn by doing. They learn by exploring. They learn by illustrating. They learn by creating something new. And this can happen only when the learners collaborate among themselves. So it's very important to promote team learning for acceleration. So if you want to accelerate learning, please, think about team learning or complementary learning or pair learning, etc. It is also learning through online apps. So I'll say self-access learning is a very important concept that I try to promote in most of my teach education sessions. And I wish each of you can possibly consider all that I've talked about in terms of promoting learner motivation through team learning. And it should be a part of a participative learning. In other words, I'm saying learning has to be, a free conceptual construction wherein each learner organizes the learning input on her own or on his own every now and then. And then there must be some sort of a systematic monitoring done. And it is done subtly in all these online apps. So assessment is an extension of learning. It is not independent of learning. I will always say, if there is an assessment without feedback, an assessment without individual counseling in our classrooms may not support the learner in any way. So my suggestion is assess, monitor, and then try to suggest and provide them enough samples of learning, right? Give them peer support. So I would say only if you have a peer support on all occasions, there are learners who find it very difficult to motivate themselves, get themselves accustomed to new ways of learning, new tools of learning, and they also have some sort of idea on new materials of learning, and they will progress further. I hope this session is extremely useful to you. If you want to know more about me, visit me at www.mangalaprathaban.in. That is www.mangalaprathaban.in. You can also get to know more about my courses by visiting www.fluencycenter.co.in. That's www.fluencycenter.co.in. Wish you all success. Have a great day and enjoy your day. Bye-bye.